Thank you. Thank you. I am waving. I am waving here in the studio. Thank you. Welcome back to the Grow Podcast. I appreciate you guys always tuning in to the Grow Podcast. And I hope you guys are ready for another great week of growing. For the past 2 weeks, I've been saying, let's talk Auburn. And I have opened up the doors and it's been let's talk Auburn. I'm going to do a recap of yesterday's game, but I cannot go any further without introducing. I told you last week I was going to have a guest on. Today, I have a former teammate of mine, great guy. We've known each other for years. We met there on the plains. Welcome to the Grow Podcast, everyone. Brian Smith. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I want to correct you. We met prior to on the plains.
Oh, you're right.
I used to come home with your brother during the.
You are so right.
You were still in high school. We would come back. And I would crash at your parents' place.
Yeah, be careful now. Don't talk too much. Don't tell too much stuff now.
No.
But, yeah, but you're absolutely right. You used to come home with Tracy and spend how many weekends, right? You know,
Man,
at the Rockers household, it was
it
always
seemed
Fish
like
Fridays.
that's right, and it seemed like every other weekend,
Yeah,
especially during summer because
that's
we
right.
worked during the summer. And we
Yeah.
would go to Atlanta and spend all of our money during the summer, hanging out. Hey, hanging out what was the name of that place that had the hurricanes,
yeah, Fat Tuesdays.
Fat Tuesday. That's right. We were coming
I
to
talked
Fat
about
Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday a little bit, boy. Woo, Fat
Yeah.
Tuesday. I mentioned that last week on the podcast when we had quite an interesting ordeal with the defensive lineman who went to Fat Tuesdays during the Sugar Bowl, and
Oh, okay.
man, and Coach Hall ran all those weathers out of us. Okay, so Smitty, let's jump right into this thing.
Okay.
I did not know you were going to be at the game yesterday, but I actually went to the Auburn game yesterday, and there I was coming off the elevator, and bam, I run into you. You was coming from the Lettersman Club.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm going to let you start off. What's your take? What is your take from the game yesterday? What do you think some of the things that Auburn needs to do to improve?
It is. I think it's a myriad of things.
Okay.
It's just this is actually really the most frustrating team. I don't think we can close a game out.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. There's so many things that you can't even pinpoint.
Yeah.
I was talking to my brother, earlier during the week, and they said, "Oh yeah, they had a team meeting with the players only meeting," and someone else brought that up to me, and I was like, "When you have players only meeting, you got a problem,
Yeah.
right? You got a
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
because those are things that when we played, those things were knocked out face to face on the field, in the dorm,
It was very
whatever you.
clear.
It was very clear, right?
Yeah.
In the dining hall.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have a meeting because
Yeah.
up front, so when you start having those closed doors kind of thing, there's an issue already, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you.
There's an issue in leadership, issue in culture, issues in really the identity of a team. Because when you look back at a team, you're like, what kind of team is this?
Yes.
And you can say, hey, they play great defense, they play great offense. The offense going to carry the defense
Yeah.
going to carry the offense, vice
Right.
versa. You
Right.
just don't know what you're going to get with this group.
Right.
Right.
I am there with you. And again, let me go ahead and set the stage. We are not professional sports gurus. We
No.
are just former Auburn players who are just giving our take on the Auburn game, on what we actually saw with our own eyes. So
Right.
we're not the old guys who are criticizing. We're just speaking truth right here on the Grow Podcast. Something you said, that word identity. And let me tell you something. That's one of the things that like you said, when you can't recognize this team, I feel like one of the things that has been lost is one of those things about tradition. I understand change. I fully understand about change happening. Change is inevitable. But one of the things I don't believe in losing is that identity that Auburn is known for. We are known for having a defense that will get after it.
Right.
I don't like when I see defensive linemen, when I call playing basketball, they're up front checking checking the guy more so than really getting after the quarterback. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, this is just the David Rocker take. I watched the warm-ups, and I didn't even see the guys like being like physical with their hands in a sense of having that nastiness. Everything was always very chilled and like we're trying to conserve ourselves until the game, more so than saying, oh no. It's now. It's right now. So
and when we played, we call it getting lathered up.
yeah.
You go out to warm
Yes.
up, you lathered up. That means
Man.
you're sweating.
Yes.
You've gone over, and and one thing you don't see is even when you're warming up, you sometimes you have to tell a guy, hey, give me more.
Exactly.
Make me work
I
today.
need game time speed a little
I
bit.
need game
Pick it
time
up.
speed. Pick it up, right?
Yes, you're
And
absolutely
so
right.
when you don't see those kind of things, you're kind of worried because I think like identity for us when we played great defense, big
Yeah.
defensive line,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you look at some of the successful teams outside of probably the 2004 team maybe that was undefeated, had a great
Right.
team, had
Mm-hmm.
but you look at them, you know they were great offense. You know we
Right.
could run the ball. We know you had a
Absolutely.
great offensive line. You had Cadillac,
Absolutely.
you had Ronnie Brown, you had
Right.
you know Jason Campbell. So you knew you could hand the ball off and run it. So you knew
Yeah.
that type of team,
And
right?
here's the thing, and you saw that word that comes from the Auburn Creed. You saw that word work. You
Work.
saw them putting in work, whether it was
Work.
offense, defense. You just sense, oh, these guys are working. I can't
And
say I see that. I just
and there was no doubt in your mind, and I say 2004, but there's no doubt. I'm just picking out a team, right?
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
there's no doubt in your mind that when it came time to close out the game, you didn't
Yeah.
have to put the ball in the air,
No. No, no,
right?
no.
You knew you were going to get 3, 4. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna run out the clock. You
Yeah.
don't have to take any chances of putting the ball in the air,
I'm right there with you.
right?
Here,
And I'm one of those guys from an offensive standpoint. Man, if you can air it out, air it out.
yeah.
But when it time to lock down somebody
Come
and
on.
put the ball on the ground and get you 3 or 4 yards, you're able to do that. When you and also defensively, you're able to stop somebody that's trying to do that.
I am totally right
You
there
know,
with you. Hey,
right?
here's one of the big things that I saw, and this was a huge question mark for me.
Hmm.
When they had to call a timeout on the 1 yard line
Right.
to figure out what play they was going to run. And I
Hmm.
mean, that's one of those when you're just like, no, one thing that Auburn, oh, we'll get you 1 yard. I mean,
Right.
that's just
We gonna get one. That's this. Yeah.
yeah. Now, anything else after that, it may be questionable parts.
Right.
1 yard, we should have enough muscle up front and just enough tenacity and work ethic that we're going to get you an ugly 1 yard.
And it doesn't matter what they do to you, right? You know you're gonna get 1 yard.
One,
And one thing I don't like either is when we go from shotgun, we need 1 yard, and we take the ball backwards and hand it
I,
off to somebody.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I'm not from the old school. Either the quarterback's gonna run it, or you're just gonna turn around and put it in the A
We're,
gap, B gap, and
we're
let
going
a
to take
guy
advantage of
hit it.
every inch right now.
Right? Yeah. I don't like going
I'm
backwards
going
to
to
go
give you
forward.
that ball right there.
Right now, you're gonna
So
come up
yeah,
and get
yeah.
it,
So we have
running
three
100
fourths of
miles
a
an
yard by
hour.
the time I hand it off, right? 3/4 of a yard to
Exactly.
go. Yeah.
Exactly. It,
Hey,
so you know that worries me about this team. I just don't think we took advantage of the opportunities. I
right.
don't think we can control the clock. I don't think we can close out a game, and I don't know what that is. I think it more gets down to identity, get down to physical, and again, I
Yeah.
hate to be the old guys like, man, you got to be
Right.
more physical, but there are some times, right, that you
Absolutely.
have to be. You're not going to be able to finesse your way through the SEC.
Hey, listen, you can't
You
lose
know,
nasty. You
right?
cannot. I'm just going to use that word. You cannot
You
use
can't.
being nasty and physical in the SEC. The
Right.
guys who are the most physical are normally the teams that you're going to see in the championship. Point blank, period. I haven't
Right.
seen it happen yet in
Yeah.
the SEC. The most physical team, more than likely, will be the one that's going to be playing for
It's
that
gonna win.
SEC in some
Yeah.
form or fashion.
Great.
Even though
And
they
when
may have an awesome offense, it's going to be that
they can
defense.
they can be physical when they need to be physical.
Absolutely.
They can finesse when the game calls for it.
I am
Right.
right there with you.
And I think some of those times you have to be dimensional in
Yes,
that aspect
I
of your
agree.
game and being a
Yeah.
good team. And that like I said, worries me about this team because you try to look at the good things outside of recruiting,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can say, man, we had the top recruiting class,
Yeah.
but what type of players are you recruiting, and
There
what
you
type
go.
of players you're going to be able to retain,
Absolutely.
right?
That.
Because
Yeah.
we all know, like, these guys come in and you get them, and who's going to throw the ball to them? Who do you,
Right.
what do you think? What do you think the guys that are saying, man, get in the portal and come to us,
Yeah.
because we got this quarterback or we got this
Yes.
guy. It's the I mean, now you got to recruit guys every year.
Yes.
Right, you
You're
can't
right.
like come in here. It's going to be 4 years, 3 years, maybe for some of the good players, and say, "Man, you come in here." But they're looking at like, who's going to throw me the ball,
Right. Exactly. Right
right?
now.
Right
Right
now,
now.
right
Yeah.
now, what do you have? And
I'm right
so,
there with you.
I think we gotta, I love what we've done from a recruiting standpoint. I don't think from an Auburn standpoint we've done enough from an offensive lineman standpoint, D
Mm-hmm.
line standpoint, because that's what we're known for up front, is
Yes.
just being
That's what we're known
physical.
for. Right.
And
I'm
so,
with you.
and there are some guys, even from a recruiting standpoint, that may not be 3-star, 4-star, but you got coaches that have gone out and looked at them and put eyes on them and say, I
Right.
don't care what the recruiting guys say.
Hey.
I watched
Yes.
this guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's nasty. He's the
That.
type of guy we want. And so I don't care what the recruiting services say.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this guy,
Right.
right?
Forget about the star. Forget
Forget about
about
the
the
star,
star.
right?
I see this guy. He'll play full speed for 4 quarters.
That's right.
That's Auburn
And
tradition.
and when we need to control the ball, he's
Whatever
the
we need
type
to
of
do.
guy we want in there. And
Absolutely.
you know, and
Absolutely.
the same, and you look at the successful teams outside of, like, you look at the 2010 team. We had guys like Nick Fairley and
Mm-hmm.
those guys up
Absolutely.
front. I mean,
Absolutely. Who got
physical
after it?
guys, they
Who
got
physical
after it,
guys. That's
right?
right. I'm with you.
And we've always won off that. Back in
Mm-hmm.
the 80s, back. I mean, you kind of could hang your hat on being a physical
Right.
team,
That's the
and
standard. That's
that's the
just the Auburn
standard.
standard
That's
on
there.
both sides of the ball.
Right,
And we can't lose that.
right.
Brian, I mean, we have a ton of stuff that we can cover. Matter of fact, I may have to have you on 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I'm just
Okay.
trying to, because I normally don't go long on the Grow podcast.
Yeah.
Um, because I want to talk about the facility, but we'll talk about that next week because that's just one of those things. I took a tour of the new football facility, and that thing is phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like it. You're talking about state of the art. And,
Hmm.
and listen, and I'll just go ahead and say this: with everything that they have, it's like, how are you losing?
Right.
It's just I don't get it. Don't
Right.
figure I can't figure it out. But we're gonna have to talk about that. I want to get into some of the questions, man,
Okay.
and I just want to be able to have your take on it. For the past couple of weeks, I've been fielding questions. Like I've said, if
Mhm.
you had any Auburn questions, people are always asking me about my time at Auburn. We've talked about this before. People are always asking you about your time at Auburn. So often we'll look
Right.
back and say how one of the things I'll talk about that, how I don't think we embrace the moment enough while there. You just kind of
Mhm.
just let it fly by. But I want to ask you this. Someone asked this question. Your personal best memory as an Auburn player. Mine was the 1989 Tiger Walk. That was the first time that Alabama came to Auburn. That's something I'll never forget, seeing the
Mhm.
parking lot full that entire week. Never seen a Tiger Walk that big before. That is just one of those memories that I'll never forget. I know you was already gone. You were already
No,
playing in
no.
the league.
I was at that game. I came back for that
Really?
game.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
We had a bye week,
Wow.
and I ended up coming down to the game.
Oh my
And
goodness. This is good stuff.
I remember walking in when you guys were you had that Friday practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to that practice. I had
Wow.
just gotten in, yeah. And yeah, and I remember all of that because
Man.
I was with the Rams at the time. We had a
Yeah,
bye
right.
week and we were playing, I think,
Man, that is so
Atlanta like
cool.
the next week.
Gotcha.
And so they let me come in
Come
and
on
just
back.
meet the two. Yeah. And
Come on back.
so yeah, I was there for
Mm,
89. And that
man.
was the first time where I saw Tiger walk single file.
Yeah,
You couldn't
absolutely.
even walk side by side. You couldn't even
Yes.
walk down the street. You could walk
Yeah.
one at a time through. So I was amazed by that.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Here's another question. And again, what do you see as the largest changes in the lives of players now versus back in the day, far as and they put down meals, facilities, relationship expectations. What are some of the, again, what are some of the changes? Brian, I'll let you go ahead and go first on that.
Well, I think obviously the biggest thing is probably NIL, right?
Yes.
I mean, same concept, no bag men, right?
Yeah.
Everything's out in the open, right?
Mhm.
Instead of the booster club, now you got the NIL collectives and that kind of
Right.
thing that
Oh
handles
yeah.
all that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to speak in too much on that because I don't really. I think NIL is great. I think, um, you know, uh, the NCAA kind of washing their hands clean of it. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
you got us. We're not. I'm just gonna turn it over. Let you guys do whatever you
Right.
want.
Do what you
And there
want.
has to be something
Right.
in there to.
Right.
But the biggest thing that's probably one of the biggest things I've seen. I think
Yeah.
football is football, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't change. You play. I
Hmm.
think I think some of a lot of the uh, the things around it, right?
Yeah.
From the facilities. I mean, yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
facilities are night and day.
Right.
I
Oh yeah.
mean, but when we were there, they were good facilities,
Absolutely.
right? I
Absolutely.
mean, there were no complaints about it, but I
No.
think everybody's one up in each other,
Right. I
particularly in the SEC, right? They're one
oh
up in each
yeah.
other, and so
Yeah.
they visit, and it's like, okay, we're gonna have this. So I think that's gonna be forever evolving.
Right.
I
Right.
think every 4 or 5 years you're gonna have an
Um,
upgrade to a facility. Like, we didn't really need that. I mean, it was great
right.
before. Oh, so and so has this. Now we got to do this,
Exactly. We're
right?
gonna
That's
have to
going to be,
top it.
yeah, that's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be
Oh
forever
yeah.
evolving,
Yeah,
right?
it's gonna be real interesting. I mean, the next thing you know, they're gonna have players' names on the side of airplanes and stuff flying over the stadium. I mean, that's just kind of gonna be one of
Hmm.
those things that I can see happening as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about the facilities. And here's the thing, and they talk about. I mean, as I walk through the facility, I noticed how for us, I mean, it was nice that we had um, food available, Gatorade
Hmm.
available for us. I think one of the biggest things that I saw, and this is just me, and this may be the old school in me. I think sometimes you can get a little too much,
Yeah.
and it takes
Yeah.
away the hunger. We had victory meals, and that's another unforgettable thing. Victory meals, nothing
Yeah.
like it having lobster. I mean, I know people can say, "Ooh, that was over the top," but we earned it to have
Right.
lobster tails, steaks of your choice, all
Hmm.
you can eat shrimp. But those were victory meals.
You had to win. You
You
knew that.
had to win.
Right.
And I think that's one of those things, certain things just should be earned.
Right.
I think right now they're eating good, but it's like, what are you putting out to have such nice things? So
Right.
that's just my take on it. Hey, as they say, take it or leave it.
Right.
If you could go back, Smitty, what would you do different, or what would you appreciate more?
I would probably appreciate just my time on campus.
Yeah.
And the times I've gone back, especially when I've taken my kids to visit or we go back, I've seen things that I never even got a chance to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always experience seems like you're experiencing for the first time with them
Yeah.
because you kind of bypass these things and walk by them
Right.
and didn't appreciate them.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing I would change, and I would say to every player, is get out of your comfort zone when it comes to your day to day. I think them having the dorms,
Yeah.
we lived together
Oh yeah.
in the same dorm with the basketball players, we ate together, and I passed up on a lot of like study sessions with
Yeah.
like classmates. Say, hey, we're having a study
Absolutely.
session, come. And I
Yeah.
was like, nah, I'm going to the dorm. I'm gonna have my own personal
Y-
tutor,
Yep.
and I'm gonna go to study hall with the team.
I'm with you. I
Yeah.
agree. That was one of the things I said. I think it was just one of those things. I mean, all of us come. We're both on that. We're locked in and focused. That the ultimate goal is you want to play pro ball. And I know this may sound funny, but it's one of those things when you may have just focused too much in a sense of not saying that you were going to come up short, but just missing out on really taking in things because those are once in a lifetime moments. I mean, you go out there and it's like, forget about the crowd, just stay focused in, and just this whole thing. And soon as the game is over, you're ready to get out there because you want to get to the club. And you just want to love on everyone who's, hey, we did it again, we won, more so than having moments when it's like, hey, you know what? Let me just exhale right now and just really take this in. That I have this opportunity to play in front of 85,000 people who appreciate you, being able to be at a great university,
Right.
and like you said, just
And
being
I
able to
think
take that
too,
in.
and I think too, a lot of times it comes so fast at you, right?
Yes.
Because you go in and you get, okay, your high school, okay, now you're focused on getting a scholarship,
Yeah.
going to the school you want to, going to a great football school, great football team, and then that's where your focus is. And so you miss out things in high school, right? I didn't even
Right.
go to my senior prom kind of thing,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, whew, I signed my scholarship. And now,
Mm-hmm.
how long do you enjoy that? A day
Yes.
or two?
Right.
And then
I'm
you
with
look
you.
at you look at the roster like, man, I got to put on 20 pounds. Man, I got to outwork this guy. Man, who's all coming in? What? Look at
Right.
the depth chart. When am I ever
Yes.
get? And so now you're dealing with all these things, and so it's a never-ending um, hamster wheel of,
Yes.
of trying to stay ahead and be the best you can be. You just don't get a chance to realize,
Right.
appreciate it,
You are
right?
absolutely right. I
So
want to pose another question to you. And here again, these are just the random questions that I'm getting. And let me just go ahead and give a shout out to my girl, Amy Elmore, for doing her thing and fielding all these questions. I saw Amy at the game yesterday. So, Amy, I do appreciate you fielding these questions, taking them in. So, again, if you have questions, you can always send them to me at davidrocker.thegrow@gmail.com, or just keep sending them to Amy, and Amy is getting them to me. So, once again, Amy, I do appreciate you. Smitty, here's another question. How did coaches recruit as kind guys as you wanted, the kind of guys you wanted to play for, and then also became tough on you once you committed? So how did coaches recruit? Huh? What was that like, Smitty, as far as getting recruited and then once you got there?
well, for me, I wasn't a five-star, highly touted guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be a basketball player.
Okay.
I mean, I'm 6'4", 6'5", and when you play basketball at 6'4", 6'5", especially in I mean, you're the biggest guy around, right?
Right.
You're a
Mm-hmm.
center. You're gonna go to the low box and post
Right.
up and
Get the ball.
do your thing. And then somebody finally tells you, like, man, 6'4", 6'5" guys are guards. You
Yes.
don't even handle the ball.
Right.
Your
Right.
coach, you get down there and post up, your coach don't even let you dribble. You got to turn around and just
Exactly.
shoot it. And
Yes.
so you start to realize that. And then someone says, man, 6'4", 6'5" playing football, you're special.
Yes.
Not a lot of guys doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, that was a big pivot for me to kind of grasp that and understand that.
Right.
And I remember my high school coach heard my feelings. He's like, how tall is Michael Jordan? I said, he's what, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, son, you ain't no Michael Jordan.
Oh, gee,
Coach
thanks,
Joe
coach.
Wilson. Even though my brothers had told me, like,
Yeah.
you need to stick with football. And I was like, man, but everybody's telling me, and I wasn't a great basketball. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was athletic, right?
Right.
I could
Right.
post up, I could do things,
Yeah.
and I was taller than a lot of centers. There wasn't a lot of centers over 6'5", six
Oh,
six
yeah.
back
Yeah.
in Opelika, Alabama, right?
Right.
And so you kind of like um, you kind of it was tough for me initially hearing that, but
Right.
it was probably the best advice I had. It was very
Oh,
humbling,
absolutely, man. Hey,
and it
listen.
hurt my feelings.
Yeah, but
It was humbling,
that's
right?
what it was. That needed to happen. I mean, you
It
have
needed
a
to happen,
right. You have
right?
a Magic Johnson who's 6'9", bringing the ball down. Then you
Right.
realize, oh wow, wait a minute. That's when you start realizing the
I didn't
difference in talent. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you even remember the barn. It burned down when we were at Auburn.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
we
that
played
was
like pickup basketball games and that sort
okay.
of thing. So
Okay.
my team would go down, my high school team. And,
Hmm.
I grew up 10 minutes from
Right.
Auburn,
Right
right?
there in Opelika. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so we would load up the basketball team and we would go down and play pickup. And that's where I met Barkley. He's
Oh,
like, man, what high school you
wow.
guys play for? I said, we play at
Okay.
Opelika. And he would come to
Man.
my basketball games.
Yeah. I was with Sir Charles yesterday doing the pregame yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's looking good. He's slimming it down.
Man, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And I remember he would come to my games and guys would be like, man, Charles Barkley. He would come up right up to me after games,
Yeah.
before game. I mean, and he gave me his word that he was gonna come watch us play. And he came to like 3 or 4 games at
Oh
my high
man,
school.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is
And
awesome, man.
and and so I finally told him, he's like, what was I said, man, I'm coming to play Auburn,
Yeah.
play basketball. He said, man,
Mm.
I said, I got a football scholarship, I'm
Yeah.
coming to play football. He's like, really? And so anyway, we've always had that. And I hadn't seen
Yeah.
him in forever, but he, you know, it was just so exciting seeing him. And I talked to guys today from my high
Yeah.
school, and he's talking
Yeah.
30, 40. He's like, man, you remember Charles Barkley used to come and watch you play? And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's the
Isn't that
crazy. I said,
amazing,
isn't
man?
that crazy?
Hey, yeah,
Isn't that
that
crazy
is.
that guy that
That
he would
is.
come up?
Yeah.
But
And
but but that was some good advice I got.
yeah.
Someone just flat and I think good Lord works in many ways. I think that
Yes.
was one of the things when I had a coach that just told me, it's like, son, you ain't know Michael Jordan. It hurt
Right.
me, but I needed to hear that,
Hey,
and I
and you know
need to
what's the
say,
trip? And I'll just go ahead and say it. It's one of those things now. You heard the kids feeling the day, he shuts down. That is,
yeah,
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 it doesn't and it's amazing, like you said, you may have not been a Michael Jordan, but you were a very intimidating, imposing force
yeah.
for a lot of teams in the SEC when they look down there and they see this huge tall guy coming off the end. I mean, that's you with Andre Bruce and the guy. So
Hmm.
it's funny. So you made a good choice now. Don't you know?
Yeah.
You made
I
a good
know,
choice on
I
making
know.
that switch. Listen,
Yeah.
last question, and I want to get your take on it, and I'll give mine as well. Um, did you enjoy being a college player or a pro player, and why?
Mm, okay. If I take the financials out of it,
Hey, that's me right there.
you take because maybe if there was the NIL when I was playing,
Hey,
it would
yeah,
probably be different. But
absolutely.
so if I take that out, man, it's no comparison.
Right,
There's no comparison from a college standpoint. I
right.
just think you realize the relationships are the biggest thing, or the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing.
Right,
Money comes and goes,
right.
but the camaraderie and the connections and
Yeah.
the relationships, man, those
Mm-hmm.
things last forever.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
Here's a clear case. Like you said, you take the financial piece out. I mean, now you have NIL. So, I mean, you have a guy who's making millions of dollars and he's in college.
right,
For us, we were still pushing to get there. Once you start getting compensated, you're just like, it's nice to get paid to play this game. What a
right,
beautiful thing. But here's the
right.
thing. I can look at my 4 years of playing professional ball and I'm 3 guys that I can say that I'm still friends, I mean, genuine friends with. And that's
Hmm.
4 years compared
Yeah,
to 4 years at Auburn when you can have so many guys who you play
right,
with and you just have a bond that
right.
is so cool. So it's like yesterday, I've just been able to see you at the game, being able to see a Doug Huntley at the game, being able to run into Quentin Riggin. So it's just these guys who you played with and that you can always keep in contact with. So
Hmm.
that's one of those things that you can't miss. So
Yeah,
I am right there with you, man, about playing
and
college ball.
I think too, it's one of those bonds that a lot of people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you consider that guy your best friend. I was like, yeah. Do you talk every day? No.
No.
When's the last time? I probably talked to him last year, but he's still my best friend.
Hey, we went through the bubble together. So once you've gone through the
Go
bubble,
through
I
the bubble.
respect you as a man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
respect you as a man. So listen,
yeah.
we've used up a ton of time here on the Grow Podcast. Smitty, I'm going to need you to come back. Let's keep this thing going. I want to let's talk Auburn again. We're going to keep fielding questions. I didn't even have time to answer all the questions, but I don't want to make this podcast an hour podcast. But we're going to keep talking about Auburn and just our times there again. So if you have questions for me, if you have questions for Brian Smith, fire away. We're just going to keep talking Auburn about for 2 more weeks. About 2 more weeks, we're going to keep talking Auburn. Smitty, thank you so much for being on the Grow podcast, brother. And I look forward to you joining me now. You got to come back, be a part of the show. Hopefully, if you can make it next week, I'd love to have you on.
Yeah, just call me back. Just call me. We can set it up, man. I love, it's something we talk about anyway, right?
I love it. You're right.
And I appreciate you having me on. And hey, I'm a subscriber to the Grow. I listen
I
to you
love
every.
it.
I
I
look
love
forward
it.
to you every Monday, man. I
I
have to
love
turn you on to check you out. So
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Keep my Auburn Tigers out of your mouth. If you're not an Auburn player, if you did not play at Auburn, you don't get to talk about those Auburn Tigers, but we do. Okay. So we continue to give our takes. We're always going to be pulling for the Tigers. But listen, I want you all to have a great week. Once again, Smitty, I appreciate you being on the show. Let's go. Let's grow. And as always, let's keep it moving, people.
Have a good one, man.